Hello and welcome to today's webinar, which is all about how to win the APM PMO of the Year award. I'm Vince Hines. I'm the Managing Director of Wellingtone Project Management, and with me is a colleague, Marissa.
And I'm Marissa Silva. I'm a Senior Project Management Consultant at Wellingtone, and I'm also using my APM PMO SIG hat on today.
So actually, yes, we're both wearing multiple hats. And obviously I'm representing Wellingtone. We are sponsoring the APM PMO of the Year, but also I'm one of the judges, and in fact I've been a judge for some time, for a number of years. So really this webinar gives us an opportunity to talk about the award and how to win it, not giving any super secrets away, of course, but you know, what looks like a good entry, and how do you maximize your opportunity, and of course so I'm going to talk about from that side, and Marissa, of course, from putting her hat on as the APM PMO SIG member, can also talk about why it's important for the SIG as well. So a little bit of background first of all.
Well, Vince, let me also endorse a special salute to our joiners today, since we may have the future winner with us.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, if people are committed enough to come to the webinar, they're going to start with definitely a fighting chance. So I briefly mentioned the structure. This is going to be a fairly short webinar, so maybe 25 minutes, something like that. Just to introduce ourselves very briefly, so Wellingtone, we are a project management consulting, training and recruitment company. So whether you are looking to improve your project methodology, establish a PMO, develop customized project management training, and of course we're also a Microsoft Gold partner, so we help our clients deploy Microsoft PPM technology, and in particular these days for most organizations that is Microsoft Project Online, the cloud-based solution. We're based in Windsor, but we work with clients across the UK, and we have a very strong relationship with the APM, a long-standing relationship. Obviously, we're a corporate member, we are an accredited training provider, and we sponsor lots of events that the APM undertake, and we also sponsor the annual salary survey, and I'm actually doing a webinar with the APM on that at the end of this month, he says, subtle plug. Anyway, that's Wellingtone, and Marissa, you're going to tell us a bit more about the APM PMO SIG.
So Wellingtone is also supporting this award, the PMO award being now awarded by the APM, and I want to talk to you about the APM PMO SIG specific interest group. So the APM PMO SIG has been in place for over a decade now, and we concentrate our efforts in promoting the profession of PMO to the industry, focusing on three main areas. Those would be thought leadership, so we want to make sure that all the key knowledge, all the latest data available on PMOs is available to the community. We do this, for instance, issuing our annual survey in conjunction with Wellingtone, as Vince was saying. We also promote some networking events, like our annual conference, this year dedicated to the topic of PMO goes hands-on, so very practical. And we also do regular evening sessions, so shorter sessions with the aim of spreading that knowledge and making sure that networking is happening within our members. Finally, we aim to expand the knowledge, so we provide a platform for best practice on the PMO arena to be communicated as well. So if we now look at our path as a profession and how the APM is supporting that path, we can see that the PMO is an emerging industry. And looking at the six actually, or five if we want to look at it from the APM competence framework and the main principles of the APM structure, we can see that we are now covering competence, recognition, education, professionalism, and also knowledge. Looking at the first one, competence, we can see that the PMO roles have now been developed, so they are properly established in the latest version of the APM competence framework. PMO is now a role. We have PMO managers, PMO analysts, all of them with competences associated and ready to be measured. Then in 2017, this year, we finally managed to have a registered project professional qualification to be refreshed to recognize the enabling functions, so not just delivery functions as project managers, but also enabling functions as PMOs. So that's an important milestone for us and something that we are very proud of. Also this year, exciting year, as you can see, we have, after 3 years of lobbying, we have now the APM PMO of the Year being awarded or sponsored by Wellingtone. This is a key milestone for us. It's something that we have been asking and requiring the APM for a long time, and it's something that we believe is a differentiator point in our path, in our route, since it acknowledges that PMOs are a clearly well-defined profession, just as any other else. As aspirational goals, and I should stress that those are aspirational, but it's something that the APM would still battle for. We are thinking about dedicated PMO training, badged by the chartered body of the profession, APM. So we want the same recognition as project managers, something like, for instance, a foundational qualification for PMOs is something that we will discuss with the APM soon. Also in the same way, professionalism, this is represented by enabling a true career path for the PMO professionals, in this way accredited also by the chartered body for the profession, the APM. And finally, knowledge, by making sure that there is an appropriate inclusion of PMO topics in the APM body of knowledge. So not just mentioning its infrastructure as an enabling function, but actually covering what are the core concepts and principles of how a PMO operates and how a PMO matures. Let's now look at why then do we need a PMO award. In fact, following our, in this case, Wellingtone now, with my Wellingtone hat on, the State of Project Management Survey, we have identified that 85% of organizations, they do have one or more PMOs. So there's definitely a case, a business case, for an award also to exist for PMO professionals. Also looking at some other statistics, we can see that 54% anticipate an increase in PMO scope and responsibilities. However, 36% also anticipate an increase in staffing, meaning that although the scope of functions is increasing, the number of staff available to carry out those responsibilities, this scope, is not increasing in the same way. Also some shocking or some scary numbers is that only 26% consider the PMO to be a strategic business partner. So there is obviously an opportunity here for us to do more for the industry. One way to do that is to actually promote or raise the profile of the PMO by assigning PMO awards, by identifying what is the best, the crème of the crème in the industry. So PMOs are seen as peripheral to project success. Of course, as we mentioned before, they don't deliver projects, but it's also because of the role of the PMO, the enabling function of the PMO, that projects succeed. So that needs to be recognized in the industry. Also, PMOs are changing. Originally, PMOs were seen as an administrative role, an administrative function, ensuring that all the paperwork was done, status reports were chased. Now we have PMOs achieving a more strategic role and actually supporting decision-making, supporting the business in our organizations. So the profile is also changing, and that needs to be acknowledged by the market. PMO careers are a real thing now, and this is seen not only by the APM competence framework that I was referring before, but also by the market itself. If you go to a recruitment company, Wellingtone, for instance, you can see that there are plenty of PMO roles being advertised nowadays as a career. And while in the beginning, PMOs were seen as just an entry point to a project management career, now PMOs are a career on its own. Finally, we also want to highlight the fact that there is academic research out there focusing only on PMOs. So also in academia, there is this recognition that PMOs are a unit of analysis that is worth studying. Some of them, some that we know about, bid PMOs, so PMOs that are designed specifically for bidding and tendering, PMOs and executive leadership, how do each one support the other, relevance of PMOs on project success, or project office performance and functions, for instance.
So, Marissa, this is quite an exciting year for PMOs generally and for the PMO SIG.
2017 is the year.
Yeah. And obviously the award as well, it's quite a significant thing. We at Wellington were involved in conversations with the APM for some time, promoting the idea of having an award. And so both us and obviously the APM PMO SIG are delighted now that we have that recognition. There is that visibility. So let's have a look then in terms of for the award, what's the process? Well, your deadline, ladies and gentlemen, is the 19th of June. That's when you've got to get your stage 1 entry into the APM. Now that entry is a document and it has to be a maximum of 6 sides of A4. The APM even defines that you can't have a tiny font type either. Now, as someone who's read many submissions, I would say presentation is going to help you. If you've got 6 pages just rammed of text, just think about how many of these submissions that each of the judges get, how many they have to read through. I think if yours is presented very nicely, it's bright, it's colourful, it has graphics, it's got even photos, something to capture the eye, that always helps. The 6 sides rule is a very specific rule. So if you submit 7 sides of A4, the 7th side is not allowed to be read by the judges. Or you might even get points taken off. So it's really important you don't go over that 6 sides of A4 rule. Now that excludes the cover sheet. So there is a cover sheet that you fill in from the APM, which you download from their website, which I'll talk about shortly. And then you've got 6 sides to really submit your entry. Now your key goal is to go through that first section, that first submission step, to become a finalist. And for me, I think winning really is becoming one of the 4 finalists. Now, the 4 finalists are then invited to a stage 2 presentation, an actual face-to-face presentation in front of the judges, and that for the PMO award is actually on the 6th of September. So you have to be available on that day. And that typically takes place in London, so you need to be able to come down to London for the 6th of September. I have been involved before where people have kind of done a Skype call or something like that, but obviously face-to-face works so well. And within a PMO, I'd probably, as a judge, I'd probably expect not 1 person to turn up, but probably 2 or 3 really supporting that presentation. So for me, I would always pitch actually becoming a finalist is really, that's winning, because then there's 4 finalists who present. Yes, one of those is going to be given the final accolade and actually win PMO of the year, but to become a finalist I think is a great, should be seen as a success on its own. Bear in mind, this is a new category, so I don't know, the APM doesn't know, no one knows how many people are actually going to submit for it. Now, some of the categories are very popular. I'm not allowed to say the numbers of people who submit, but they can range quite significantly from one category to another. This is a new category. So I would suggest your opportunity to become a finalist should be better than possibly some of the other categories like Project Manager of the Year, which, as you can imagine, is a very popular category. So it's all about that 6 sides of A4. Once you get, fingers crossed, to the actual presentation, the face-to-face presentation, it starts again. It's a clean slate. So the actual award of the category is based on those presentations on the day.
How does the presentation look like, Vince, from your experience? Does it have questions? Is it an interview sort of thing? Yeah,
that's a good question. Each presenter, they get about 30 minutes to present, standing in front of a panel, sat at a table, and plugging their laptop in to present their slides. And then there's Q&A at the end as well. So it is very much a presentation, and I would suggest the more high energy, the more positive, the more enthusiastic the presenter. You're going to capture the judge's imagination much more than something that's just someone just standing there reading from their slides. You know, we want to see the passion, because at that point there's probably very little to choose between those 4 different submissions. So it is really about the passion of that presentation, and the enthusiasm of the presenter, I think, counts very much. But there is questions and answers, Q&A at the end as well. So the judges' criteria for stage 1. Now, we are not trying to find the best PMO in the UK. What we're trying to find is a PMO that tells a very good story about how it helps their organisation improve their project management maturity. This criteria doesn't judge how good your projects are, your programs are, the success of those. That's nothing to do with this. This is about your PMO and how it contributes to your organisation and how it helps drive maturity.
So it's about the journey.
It's about the journey, exactly. So someone who's reached the end of that journey, who is the uber PMO, isn't necessarily, that's not the criteria.
It's like happiness, they say. What matters is the journey.
Yeah, exactly. What matters is the journey, and be able to talk to us about that journey. So I think I spoke to a few heads of PMO who said, well, we're still trying to do this, we're still trying to do that, we're still walking that journey, but that doesn't matter. It is about the story to date and how you've travelled so far. Now, in this slide, you might just be able to see that some of these words are in bold. So it says here, tell us about your PMO, its context, its people, services and interfaces. Those words, context, people, services and interfaces, are part of the actual judging criteria that we use. Now, you can download the judging criteria yourself from the APM's website, and I've got the URL on the next slide. But we as judges are literally saying, well, does this entry tell us about the context? Does it tell us about the PMO people? Does it tell us about what you do, your services that you provide to your organisation? And that section is 20% of the scoring criteria. Now, underneath that, the next bullet there says, show us the results and benefits. So what are the benefits that your PMO has given? What are the results that you can tell us about? And anything that you can back up with data is really very, very valuable. So, and that section, results and benefits, in terms of maturity, how you engage your community, how you have created improved project management maturity, that section's worth 50%.
And also, what is the legacy that you are leaving behind?
Exactly. So what is this you're building for your organisation? And then the 2 bullet points on the right-hand side, the first one there is about innovation. Innovation, I find, is always difficult because people say, well, how can I innovate? You know, I'm not going to be able to redefine the role of the PMO for the UK. I'm just running a PMO. And it may even be more within context of your organisation, how you've helped drive maturity, how you've possibly worked in a different way or introduced new ways of working or introduced even, say, a project management community, something that your organisation hasn't done in the past. The criteria does ask to say, is there anything that you've done that we could then, that other PMOs could then benefit from? So there's always an opportunity there, but don't feel like just because you haven't reinvented the role of the PMO, there's no real expectation that someone is going to come forward with something that possibly no one else has ever considered. But it is about innovated within the context of your organisation. And then underneath that, we talk about lessons learned and challenges. What challenges have you faced and how have you overcome them? Now, those 2 bullet points there, innovation, lessons learned and challenges, that's worth 30% of the marking criteria. So a good submission would reference these points in bold and actually give an answer for each of them. Context, people, services, interfaces. That's what we're scoring against. So a submission that includes the title, context, and a paragraph of text enables us to say, right, I've got to fill in my scoring sheet and I've got to put something down for context. Oh, I've been spoon-fed some words on context. Let me read that and see if it's relevant. And the same for each of these. So there should be a section entitled Results and Benefits, and that's 50% of the scoring. So I'd expect to see 3 pages, possibly, on results and benefits. Don't just kind of waffle, so we think we've done a great job. I think showing some sort of stats, quotes from colleagues go very well as well, and even some data about what's happening in your organisation. Obviously, anything you submit is kept confidential, so do put data in there about your organisation as much as you can, and make it look and present nicely. Now, as I said, if you get through that first stage, then you're going to come through to the presentation. Everyone starts, is the reset, everyone starts from fresh, and that then is about your presentation, which should be on the same content, of course, but it is about giving a good 30-minute presentation.
It's all about showing your passion.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's not about who's the best project manager, PMO. It's about someone, an organisation that's really a PMO that can demonstrate its contribution to its organisation and the passion that team have. Now, there's a URL, a very long URL there along the top from the APM's website, so apm.org.uk. Within there, if you go to the award categories and look at PMO of the year, I've put a bit of a screenshot on there. But if you scroll down that screenshot, there's a couple of buttons, one of which shows you actually the criteria that I've talked through. And so you can see that waiting for yourself. So your submission should really align with that scoring. And that's going to give you the best chances of success.
Now, and PMOs are usually very good at collating information and presenting meaningful data. So I would expect very good submissions this year.
Yeah, let's fingers crossed. I hope so. Yes, absolutely. Some good data. Yes, this is going to be a very exciting report that really should demonstrate the contribution that PMOs made to the organisation, and be presented in a really nice way. And I think that is going to increase your chances of success, and to get you through to that finalist point, which is then about the presentation, as I said. Mm-hmm. So just going back, if I may, to the deadlines then. So you've got until the 19th of June to submit your entry. Then it'll all go quiet while the judges then read through all these entries. Then the finalists are declared on the 24th of July, then coming to present themselves on the 6th of September in London. And those finalists are all well, anyone can of course come along to the awards ceremony, but hopefully if you're a finalist you can convince your organisation to buy a table at the awards ceremony, and that is usually a really good affair. It's the last few years it's been at the Hilton on Park Lane. This year it's at Billingsgate Fish Market, which doesn't sound quite as exotic, but it's at Billingsgate, and it's supposed to be a really nice venue. So that should be a really nice event. There's usually some sort of TV celebrity doing the awards and presenting them. And actually, because we're sponsoring it, I'll actually be I think I'll actually be announcing the winner, actually, which is quite exciting. So hopefully that gives you some food for thought, some top tips on how to win. More information is obviously available from our website, particularly Marissa mentioned the State of Project Management, which is our annual survey. It's got great data in it. And of course, we are running a conference later this year, futurepmo.com. It's a one-day conference on the 12th of September with a lot of great speakers from across PMO industry. And Marissa, you're talking there?
I am.
You are talking there? I think I might be talking there as well. And there's also going to be a DeLorean, there's going to be a robot, there's going to be all sorts of wild things happening. So have a look at that website as well, and good luck with your entries.
Yes, on behalf of the APM PMO SIG also, good luck.
Thank you very much for taking part.
Thank you.